Welcome back to another video, guys. So I've been getting a lot of questions for wiring. So this is going to be more of a tech video. So this is going to be about understanding how a TPS sensor works and wiring it properly. So any variable TPS sensor, it doesn't matter what car it is, it's essentially a resistor. And they're laid out like this. You're going to have a voltage reference, which is going to be a 5 volt on every single sensor, and you're going to have a ground, but not just any ground, it's going to be a sensor ground. So when you're wiring up a TPS, this helps with voltage offset. So if this goes to a chassis ground, you can have a ground loop essentially, and you're going to get a lot of noise. So like Miatas from the factory, they have ground loops already. So if you're experiencing noise, it could be due to your sensor or the ground loop issue. And then your final is going to be your signal wire. And then that's what's going to output from the sensor and going to be considered an analog input to the ECU. Some will have a 4th wire, which is going to be an idle or wide open throttle switch, but you don't really need to worry about that. So like, for testing this one, this is a Toyota 2JZ sensor. This actually does have 4 of the wires. We're going to show you how to figure out which wires without any pinouts. This will tell you how to find out any pinout to any variable TPS. So first you'll need to get your multimeter, and then you want to set it into your continuity or resistance mode. So basically, if you were to continuity test anything, when the 2 leads touch, you'll get feedback on your meter. So how I'm just setting this up now for filming purposes is I'm just going to hook up each lead to one of these, and then that way I can do everything with the alligator clips while holding the camera. So if we can get this set up for you. And then that way we can set up the meter at the same point as these. So I already know that we're going to use the far left pin and the 2 right pins. So when you find your 5 volt and your sensor ground, those is always going to have the same resistance no matter the point on the throttle position. So right now we know we have at least the 5 volt reference and a signal pin. So if we move this over, we have a fixed right there. So now we know that both our outside pins is either 5 volt or signal ground. And the next one to find that is your point between your sensor ground and your signal is going to be lower than your signal and your 5 volt. And while you can use either of those and calibrate it inverse, you may also get sensor noise between that point. So if we drop the pin here, we have a flat of 269 ohms. And then if we move our, so we know now that our sensor ground pin is furthest right because our reading here between the signal is 1.7, while if I move this over to this final pin here, we have a much higher value. So then when we move this, you can see it goes up. And then if we were to set this back up, and now if we move it again, we can see that our value goes up while we're moving the TPS. So if that makes sense for you. And then we can move this back over here. And then then you'll be able to see that there's our dead zone, and then it moves up. So you'll know for this setup, this pin here that's on our black lead now is our signal. This one on the left is going to be the ground, and then the one on the right will be our 5-volt reference. And this will work for any TPS again. I think I might have had it mixed up when I first set it, but you can see that because this is going down now, we'll also know that this is the 5-volt because it's inverse of what it is actually. So, and then you don't really have to worry about this on any standalone ECU or idle pin. That's no longer used. That is our second one from the left there. So this is just kind of a short video to show you guys how to just pretty much wire up any sensor and make sure it's done properly. There's a lot of people that mess it up and just doesn't work out right. You get a bunch of problems in your whole system. And then pretty much any other 5-volt sensor or analog sensor, like your fuel pressure, is going to work off the same reference, but you're going to have a lot easier to find out the pinouts off these online. They're pretty easy, but it is still a 5-volt signal, ground, and your signal pin. Those are more referenced online, but as far as any random sensor, especially for like the Miatas and stuff, there's so many different sensors on the market, between stock sensors, your Kia sensors, your BMW sensors, and just any other sensor you might come across. It's just hard to look online, find diagrams, and then referencing the pinout on the diagram to make sure that you know which one of these works. So you'll want to just manually find out, and you can find out the pinout of any TPS sensor pretty much in the world. As long as it's variable, this will work. So then that's pretty much the end of the video. Like, comment, subscribe, and if you need any other kind of tech videos, you can drop a comment and can make a video on that to explain it more.